Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, DJ Leo channel, where we're all about helping you to improve yourself, to self-develop, to self-actualize in many different ways. We're not just talking about improving in your mentality or your state of being, but also your physical health as well. So this is really a total healthcare solution channel where you can be able to take away a lot of fruitful and productive information about how you can grow, how you can become a better person in ways that you design, your ideal self, both physically and mentally. And that's where I come in to support you as a coach, if you will. We're going to be using a lot of meditation. Meditation is a motive theme in my channel because meditation is the actual vehicle where we can actually get onto and be able to change some of the things that we dislike, some of the things that we want to move away from. But because we're such a habitual being, it's really difficult to change as we get older. And so I'm here to help you in terms of becoming somebody else, becoming the ideal version of you. It's going to take time and it's going to take effort. It's not going to happen in a day or two, but with continuous effort and fortitude, I am more than confident that you'll be able to reach your personal development goals. So let's get started with today's topic. So today I'd like to talk about the ego. That's right, the ego. It's a Freudian term, obviously. But what is ego? We need to first observe and comprehend the meaning of ego as well as the role of the ego before we can start to tap into our subconscious mind and start making some changes. Now, ego is a term that is often used, but in a negative way. You've probably heard or somebody say, "Hey, his ego's too, egotistical, or somebody's reacting out of their personal ego," and so on and so forth. So it looks like the society has somewhat coined the term ego as something that's negative, something that's bad, something that appears to be stubborn about oneself and not wanting to change and stuff like that. In a way, it can be if you're egotistical in a way that doesn't serve you or serve others. But it's not as bad as you think, and that's where that's what we're here to find out today. So let's first try to define the meaning, a general definition of what ego is. Now, ego is basically your self-image. It's your strong kind of identity, the identity that you believe in. Okay, so it's who you believe you are. Not just in a physical sense and appearance-wise, but also internally. It means you believe you are as a personality, behavior, attitude. It could be religion. It could be tradition, virtue, philosophy. Basically, everything in life that you believe it's part of you. So this is actually, your ego gets developed probably not until, I mean, it could vary, but remember, since you're born and until you reach the age of 7, statistically, you don't really have a strong ego because remember, when you're a child, your brainwave pattern is always at either at the theta or alpha level. You haven't reached, the child hasn't really reached the beta brainwave status because, that's your subconscious mind as a child growing up until 7 or 8. The boy or the girl will be able to absorb what's around their surroundings, not only just their parents and their family members, but their community, their school, their friends, the cartoons that they watch, the toys that they play with, all of these things that they're surrounded with, they're like a sponge. Their subconscious mind will absorb them. So remember, like when you see little kids playing in the playground or they're playing with some toys or something, you can totally sense that they're in a different world of their own because their brainwave is functioning in a theta. It's kind of like theta, they say it's in a hypnotic brainwave pattern. So, you're really your subconscious mind is taking in everything, and it's not judging, it's not filtering, it's not deciding whether it's good or bad, or keep or delete. Nothing like that. It just sucks in everything. So, why am I talking about this? It's because you start to build your ego as you move as you get older, obviously. So you're a teenager, and you graduate from high school and you enter college. And as you start to go up the ladder, not only in terms of your age, but also within the society, all that stuff that you've put in your subconscious becomes part of your ego, because because all of the experience you have had, until whatever the age you are, that's all part of who you think you are. All of your past, all of your memories, and all the other elements that I've previously introduced. So, it's ego is really kind of like think of it this way. A good analogy would be it's like a huge ball of yarn or thread that's been all tangled up, and it sits right in the core of your subconscious mind. So remember, the people say that 95% of your actions and behaviors derive from your subconsciousness. So namely your ego, because that's what you believe you are. So once we start to understand what ego is fundamentally, then we can start to observe or introspect and find out what should belong in my subconscious and what should not belong in my subconscious. Because believe it or not, there's a ton of things that you want to get rid of, but you're holding on to it. Why? Because you believe that's a strong part of who you are. Even the bad memories, even the traumas, even the depressive episodes that you might have had in the past, that's all stored in your subconscious mind. So, who wants to recollect those miserable memories or the pains from the past? But because they're still part of your ego, it gets triggered in your brain. Remember we talked about in the other video about how your brain is kind of like a storage data. It's an artifact, so it actually stores everything that took place as far as your memory can be able to retrieve. So, a good example would be this. Let's say you've suffered from some kind of ailment or something, and who wants to be sick, right? But that's still, you believe that you are a sick person because that's part of who you are. That's also part of your ego. So in a way, your body is, they say that it's like the most powerful pharmacy in your body. It has all the chemistry needed to heal and defend itself from all these outside invaders like germs and bacteria and viruses. But we still take a lot of medications and pills because we don't believe we believe more of what's going on outside rather than inside, especially when we are frustrated and stressed out. Because remember, when you're under the stress response, it's really difficult for you to go in and believe what you're possible of. Instead, you want to find some kind of solution or comfort from outside. But the problem is, what if there is no help from outside? You have nothing to depend on. So in a way, if you have strong belief of who you are and what you're capable of, then you can really make a lot of changes. So going back to the topic of ego, ego loves to defend itself. That's one of its negative problems or issues. It doesn't want to change. It likes to maintain what they're familiar with, So that's why as we get older, there's a old saying that it's difficult to teach an old dog new tricks. It's like your ego is so solid and so embedded in your subconscious, you don't want to let it go. You don't want to let it get detached from your identity, even if it's something that doesn't serve you, like I said earlier, all the negative memories and past and all that. So that's why I make that analogy of a ego being a very convoluted, ball of thread or yarn or something like that. So in order to untangle that, it would require a tremendous amount of energy and effort from your side. And again, the way to do it is through introspection, self-observation, namely meditation. So, and the other problem of ego is that ego resists anything that it goes against it. So if it doesn't, let's say you believe in something, you have certain virtue that you live by. Well, believe it or not everyone may agree with that type of virtue that you have. And let's say you get into an argument about who's right or wrong with somebody, you'll do everything that you could possibly can to protect what you believe. There's nothing wrong with that, but all I'm saying is that sometimes some of the beliefs that you have may not serve you. So that's why you need to introspect and really observe your subconscious or your ego from a third person standpoint and be objective about it. Does this serve me? Does this part of my ego serve me? Or is it actually hindering me from further developing as a person, right? Now, so that's why, the ego thinks that if it lets go of a certain part of it, it's afraid that the life itself might be compromised. So that's how insecure your ego is in a way. So again, in summary, ego is not something good or bad. It's just a psychological, a creative survival mechanism that resides in your subconscious mind. And of course, everybody has their belief in who they are, their self-identity. Once again, the point is, the takeaway here, ladies and gentlemen, is that I don't want you to think that ego is something bad and, it's something that I would encourage you to just, throw it out the window. You can't anyways. But at least if you have the chance or time to introspect and to really, really study yourself, who you believe you are as a person in many different aspects, and start making a list of the good things that you think, that you should keep in terms of your ego part, and some of the negative lists that you think that it's just being stubborn and it's really helpless to you or meaningless. Then you can start to customize your ego again the way that you would like it to be. So that is the whole point of this video today. I hope it made some sense to you, and I hope that you can really introspect and try to determine which part of your ego that you would like to keep and which part of your ego that you would like to get rid of, so that your ego will be on your side and it'll be always supportive of who you're trying to be. So thank you once again for watching. I would greatly appreciate it if you can tap that like button, thumbs up button, and if you can subscribe, that would be even better. So have a great, great day, and I'll see you next time.